Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Maurice Stinnett, and I have the privilege of serving as the Global Head of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion here at Warner Music Group. First, I want to shout out Chris and Teresa from our employee resource group, Fair Game, for putting this wonderful conversation together. Thank you both for your leadership. Family, today I have the wonderful privilege to talk about this amazing film, The United States versus Billie Holiday, which chronicles how the government targeted Billie Holiday in an effort to racialize the war on drugs and to also stop her from singing her important song, Strange Fruit. Now, I have seen the movie in its entirety, and I'm here to tell you it's fantastic. So if you have not seen it yet, do yourself a favor and watch it after today's conversation. As you've seen, it's on Hulu. But for today's conversation, family, I am joined by two outstanding, incredible folks, and I'm very excited to introduce them to you. First up, we have Warner Records artist and star of the film, Billie Holiday versus the United States. It is none other than Ms. Andra Day. Welcome to this conversation, Andra.
Hello, hello, and hello, Lee.
So first, and let me say,
Andra.
There we are. Lee, you're right. Okay, there we go. Lee's already in the house.
Am I looking over here? Am
Lee,
I looking here, or am I looking here?
Lee, I can't tell you where you need to look, baby. You got to figure that out for yourself. I can't tell you that. I don't have a
But
damn
can you
clue.
look at if I look at you?
You look at me right there. Yeah, you looking at me right now. Yeah, you looking at my face.
All right.
Stay right there. You giving me that
Hello.
good look. That's good. That's good. So there's Lee Daniels, everybody. Okay, so now we have the
Hello.
filmmaker, Lee Daniels. Welcome them both. Let me also pivot and say, Andra, congratulations. Huge congrats for the Golden Globe Award, Best Actress. Let's clap it up. Congratulations for that. Congratulations for that. So again, very delighted to have this conversation with you. Let's keep it moving. Lee, actually, before we start off with the questions, you're a part of the Warner Music Group family, right?
I am.
Yeah, talk to us about your new venture.
Andra, did you know that?
I did not. Yo, that is.
See, I always got one pulled up in my sleeve, baby. I got one pulled up in my sleeve. This is my, it's interesting. This is my first time ever talking about it. And with my musical background with both of my TV shows, they just decided that, that it was a smart idea for me to be there. And that this would be the foray into it. I just decided I'm not going to not be a part of the I don't know the music terminology, but the album of it all. Like I walk away with it. I'm not going to do what I did with Empire and or Star, which is like just to walk away from it once it's done and leave it to them to handle the distribution. So this was like the first time, Andrew. I forgot to tell you that.
Yo, that's so cold. Cold.
So it's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. All right? I love it.
Yes, that's amazing. Oh my God, I'm about to celebrate.
But I don't know anything about. Listen, I'm gonna have to call you, Andrew, because I don't know. This is virgin territory for me. I'm new to it. But
help him out. Help him out.
He knows. I'm gonna call him. We call each other literally every time we get off these calls.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Exactly. And now don't talk about me after you get off the damn call, though, because we're gonna make that. I know how that goes too. All right. But anyway.
Let's see how this goes. I'm just
exactly. Let's see how this goes. Ain't no promises. Okay. All right. So let's jump right into this. All right, Lee and Andra. So talk to me. This isn't just a film about a musician or about a person taking a stand. It's about a Black bisexual woman taking a stand, being an early civil rights leader and at great personal cost, right? Malcolm X put it this way. He talked about how Black women are the most disrespected, unprotected, and neglected persons in America. And sometimes I think Black women are also the most erased people in America, despite their incredible contributions in every single area of our life. So the first question is, Lee, to you, why was making this film about Billie Holiday important? And what does it make visible and known that had been hidden or forgotten?
This movie is for my mother. This movie is for my grandmother. This movie is for my sisters. This movie is for my daughter. It's for all of my aunts. These movies for all the Black women that helped me when I was growing up. They are, I think that Malcolm X was right. They're underappreciated. And I am here because of them.
Yes.
You know, I don't downplay the Black men that have helped me, but it's really been women that have gone out of their way, that have been at the forefront of any movement in my life, or in any movement at all that the country has to talk, you know, anything that the country has to say, or to, you know what I'm saying?
I do, yes.
You know,
yes.
it's really interesting, you know, and Billie is an unsung hero. She is representative of my mom and all of my relatives. And we all know Billie, you know, we all know that Billie, and we know behind every Black woman, there's a story. There's a story, there's a story of courage, there's a story of triumph, there's a story that she hasn't told. And Billie's story was never told. It was really important that we tell her story. It was really important that I set her free from what people were thinking of, the legacy that she was, that the government set up for her.
I love that. Andra, teeing off of that question, how did you feel about taking on this role? And how did it impact you? And was there anything hidden or forgotten regarding Black women, Black folks, that you thought this role helped you amplify?
I mean, yes, of course. I mean, first of all, taking on the role, I was terrified to do it. But in the midst of all of this, you know, after saying yes and really trusting me and diving in, I mean, to say what is it that I felt that like what's been forgotten about with Black women or Black, I mean, you know, everything, you know, it's her activism, right? Her heroism, you know, her layers, you know, that's the huge part about it. I think the big part with Black women that gets deleted is our layers. We're not allowed to, you know what I mean, by other communities and sometimes our own community, we're not allowed to be layered. It's humans, you know, with certain emotions, and we can't feel, if we feel angry or we feel strong or we feel powerful, well, you're just an angry Black woman, or you're this. There's so many labels that get put on us all the time, and they're all conflicting, and so you just find yourself in a box where you just are invisible. You know what I'm saying? Okay, fine.
Yes.
I can't please this person. I can't please this person. I just won't exist. You know what I'm saying? And we also see that in the narrative, right? In American narrative, in the narrative in the world. You know, Black women's stories are constantly, their narratives are constantly suppressed and lied about. And you were never supposed to know Billie's because she was truly the godmother of civil rights. They didn't want you to know that. That didn't fit within the box. You know what I mean? We are an extremely strong people. And obviously, as you saw with Stacey Abrams, right, during the last election, or Vice President Kamala Harris, you know, just all of these incredible women, when we throw our hat in the ring, when we throw our voices in the ring, we embolden people, you know what I mean? You know, if you are trying to persist in a system of racial inequality built on lies, then you have to suppress voices like that. And so, but I think hugely, it's just Black women as layered individuals, I think, is one of the major things that gets lost, you know?
I love that. And you said you were nervous to take the role. When did you settle into the fact that, you know what, I can do this? When did that hit you?
I don't think it was until the last day of shooting that it really hit her. I don't think that I think it was like, I don't even think she realized it until it was over, and then we couldn't get her off the set. She was crying like a baby, didn't want to leave Billie. I think that's the question. We tricked her. She was just in it before she knew she was in it.
Yo, I can't, to be honest with you, I cannot even reiterate that any better, because he's right. People ask me, when did you feel like you could do this? Nigga, never. Oh, never. Like, I tell Lee every damn day on set was the day that I would be like, okay, she is terrible. She's fired. I'm like, see, I knew it. That's how it was going to be this whole time. You know? No, I was, like you said, the last few days, it was a transition really on set. That's more of it was. It was a transition that went from, I'm terrified, I can't do this, I'm going to be terrible, I don't want to be here. If they fire me, that's the best thing for everybody anyway, and da-da-da. And it transitioned into like, I can't leave Billie, I can't leave or Pam or like Garrett or like Evan. It was, I couldn't leave Montreal. Literally, let me tell you something. You know what I was thinking about Lee the other day?
What?
I was like, damn, bitch, you so dramatic. I was sitting on this beautiful view when we were in Montreal, like at the top of base camp, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the city, Montreal, listening to music and bawling my eyes out. And I was like saying, bye, Montreal. And then I'm like, shut up. Like, so drama. it was very, very difficult for me. It just transitioned to me just not wanting to leave this world, to me believing
Yes.
that this was my world, that this is what Leah and I would do for the rest of their lives. This is what,
It's crazy. It's really crazy. And it's what she has gone through, what she went through on set. I was then living with the film in the edit room. And so I felt for her, but I didn't really feel for her until it was time for me to release the baby, I call him, at each project, into the world.
Fabulous, fabulous. All right, let's pivot a little bit. At times, a lot of times, there seems to be this desire to soften some of the harsher parts of life stories about Black people because we feel this burden of representing the race well. But in this film, Billie Holiday is portrayed as the complex, brilliant, struggling person that she was. Lee, talk to me a little bit about the importance of showing, again, Black stories in all their truth.
We have been trying, and so it's a very good question, a really powerful question. And it leaves you targeted as a filmmaker. It leaves you a target as a filmmaker and as a controversial one when you are trying to, all of my films have really been complex, about complex characters, Black characters that are complex, that are not necessarily all likable. And, but it's a product of our slavery. It's a product of where we coming off them boats messed up. And when you think about Billie Holiday, or when you think about like her addiction, I'm not surprised we're not all addicts, you know, after what we have as a Black race have been through. And so what my job is to show the human condition. None of my films, if I haven't done my job, if you're going, you know, that Lee Daniels, what we gonna get now, you know? We're gonna get complex, we're gonna get us, is what we're gonna get. And we're not gonna get it rosied, you know, rosied up. We're gonna get us, you know? The challenge for me the next time will probably be, if I have it in me, is to do a rom-com. I mean, you know, I wouldn't, like, I really want to, it's like challenging for me, you know, it's like me sitting through an opera, I think, you know? I don't know whether I could do a rom-com, but I love talking about the Black experience. Early on in my life, I've seen at young age, kids killed when I was a kid. I've seen all of my friends die of HIV, the Black experience, like all my friends die of HIV. And it's complicated, man. Life is complicated for us out there. And so I want to show the world in all of its complexities. And so I'm really anxious when I find actors like Andra to come along that journey with me, because not everybody is brave enough. Actors that come along and want to work with me, they're brave. So, or crazy one. So yeah.
That's fabulous.
Listen, hold on. I gotta chime in. He being a little bit humble right now. I think after working with you and having watched your movies and watching what they're brave, but they also know what's up. You know what I'm saying? They know you are gonna pull a performance out that they've probably never given before. And I'm just gonna step out and say it from watching your stuff. So I'm not just saying this because I have a bias and because I love him, but I'm so seriously, everybody knows it. Everyone I've spoken to knows it. Like, so yes, they're brave because your films are brave and they're fearless, but at the same time, they also know, like, this about to be that shit. You know what I'm saying? So I would just tell the truth on that.
Tell the whole truth.
We're afraid. Listen, I'm afraid of the criticism and the judgment that comes as I'm doing it. I mean, I already know what my mother's friends at the church are going to be saying. I already know what the haters are going to be saying as I'm doing it, but I know that the truth has to be told. That's Billie's story had to be told, the complexities of, and a lot of the stuff I pull back on. You know, I don't have her, she jabs a beer bottle in a man's face that's not in there. She's stealing. Billie was a klepto sometimes. She's stealing, she's fighting. I mean, all the stuff that I really wanted to say, it will be in the director's cut.
Right. I love it. I think, again, to your point, Lee, telling the truth, it costs you something, right? And we talk about this truth making us free, speaking about, again, thinking about that, but there's a cost associated with that freedom from truth telling, right? It makes us uncomfortable. It creates tension. And so bravo to you for having the courage to tell the truth, and Andrew, for you portraying this character. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is the silencing of Black voices. This idea that they want our talent, but they don't value our Black lives and our Black freedom. In the case of Billie Holiday, her voice was seen as a threat. Her song, Strange Fruit, was seen as a threat. She herself was seen as a threat. So I want to ask the question, can you speak to how that resonates with your own experience, Andra, as being a Black person, a Black creator, Black artist?
Um, I think it goes back to, and maybe even what I had mentioned earlier, just about, I mean, I guess being a Black creator, being a Black artist, it's being a Black woman, right? You're going to reflect and represent who it is that you are, not just your experiences, but the way you've perceived other people's experiences, or the way you perceive the world, or the way you encounter people or they encounter you, your opinions, your feelings. You know, you're gonna, and oftentimes as a Black woman, it is inherently in conflict with the sort of overarching, sort of white hetero patriarch, the system that we live in, you know what I mean? And so because it demands equality, it demands to be seen, it demands that we pay attention to different types of communities, you know, and that's really what we represent. So, and so, yeah, to me, Strange Fruit and them going after her for that, Strange Fruit is truth. When people ask me, what does that song mean to me? It's truth. And we live in a system of racial inequality that is built off of deception and that's built off lies. And so Strange Fruit is a lighthouse of truth. You know what I mean? And that's, if you're trying to build this system and you're trying to continue a system and a culture of racial inequity, right? A second-class citizen culture, never quite being enough, your struggle being muted or, you know, suppressed. Strange Fruit is like a foghorn, you know what I mean? So of course it was dangerous for their establishment. It was dangerous for what they wanted their way of life to be. And yeah, oftentimes beyond just a song, our very existence can threaten that, you know? And so, and I think someone put it so beautifully, I forget who said that. It was an interview with Farrakhan, I think, where he was talking about, you're scared that if we come to power that we'll do to you what you did to us, you know what I mean? But we're a peaceful people. We learned violence from you, you know what I mean? And from here, we're not a violent people. We don't have a history of killing y'all, you know what I mean? So I think that there's a fear that they've built into this system, but I think truth is the only thing that can dismantle it. And I think that's what Lee brilliantly did with this movie.
Fabulous. Lee, chime in on that. How, as a creator yourself, does this resonate with you as being seen as a threat, perceived as a threat?
I mean, the reaction from people that are critics that are out there, you know, critics, they want something safe or something easy, you know. If it's a militant film, then it's an easy militant film. It doesn't, you know, otherwise they try to silence you. No different than they did with Billie, you know. When this is in your face, this real and this raw and this like,
that's right.
They do, you know, they do what they can do to stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes
For
sense.
me, no.
I follow.
And actually, if I can just add to that as well, too, I think there's a recognition even within our own community that we have to realize, because the fear, even if we're talking about this from other races, trying to suppress our voices, we really got to deal with these plantation ideas, with these old school ideas. We do that within our own community. We do. And I don't think we're being honest if we don't acknowledge an effort to suppress Black gay voices, right? Black gender fluid voices, Black queer voices, you know, Black trans.
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to go there. But you can. Thank you for sharing that, because I do think that is a really important part of even my journey as a filmmaker. You know that not only when I started out was I the only Black filmmaker in the room. I mean, Spike was on the other side, but I was the only gay Black filmmaker in the room. So it was like, who is this double freak? And so it's like, it's, you know, are you embraced by your people? You got to have the talent to show it. You got to show something. Okay, here he come with his stuff. It better be good. Otherwise, get out of here, faggot. You know. And or when you're presenting yourself to white audiences, it better be good or get out of here, nigga.
That's real.
I'm going to add to that. I don't even think it could just be good, Lee. It better be better than good, right? You have to.
I know. Wah, wah.
You know what I mean? Like I think you simplify by saying good, because no, it needs to be exceptional, for you to even be considered. Okay, so thank you for sharing, and Andra, thank you for pulling us in that direction with that. You also wrote a song, Andra, Tigress.
Say. Let me say something. I heard that song. This is my first time. Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean.
Go.
I just heard that song.
Please.
Listen, this was the first time I heard it. I don't know why. I mean, we've heard it from ever, but I like. Is this new horns or something? Is this because it's like music people or something? Because there's like all these new instruments and shit that I'm listening to. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Is that all new? So I'm gonna hear it again. It's so good. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Doc.
This is great. This is beautiful.
You have to hear this stuff and pay attention to this stuff. You in the world now, okay?
Oh, okay. I'll be into it. I'm learning. I'm learning.
Oh God, I love it. No, feel free to interrupt. It's great. So again, Andrew, what's the song mean to you? Why that song? Unpack that for us a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the song means, it means everything to me. Honestly, it is and I say this, it is my favorite thing I've ever written in my entire career, in my life. You know what I mean? Of any piece of poetry I've ever written, story, song, anything. And I think, I tapped Raphael Sadiq to do it with me. And he watched the movie and he loved it. And so I was telling him musically how I wanted it to be. I'm like, somebody who knows jazz but can bring us, I said somebody who knows jazz but has hits or accolades in the world of like hip hop and funk and soul and and so he sent back this amazing track that he said has a wrong chord in it, but it's beautiful. And I was like, perfect, that's Billie Holiday. You know what I mean? Just a wrong chord but beautiful. And I struggled to write the lyrics for like over a month. I remember I felt the pressure. Everybody's like, "Where's the song, Andra? Where's the song?" I'm like, "Oh shit, it's coming!" Like, but I was really like just praying, and I prayed about it, and a lot of the lyrics came, and the first thing that came to my mind was to flip strange fruit. You know what I mean? And I was trying to unpack what that meant, and it was like, if Billie Holiday were alive today, how would she have wanted to see strange fruit evolve? And so it was almost looking at it as like a strange fruit 2.0. I did not want the song to be a tragedy anymore. I wanted to flip everything about it. I wanted strange fruit hanging from a poplar tree. I wanted to take us off the tree. I don't want us hanging there anymore. I want us off the tree. I want us cutting it down, which means we have some type of tool to cut it down with. I want us to have ownership of the tree, standing over it, showing it representing a dismantled system that we've torn down, that we own, you know what I mean? And I wanted to see strange fruit not sad and tragic. I wanted to see them brolic and healthy, armed, you know what I mean? Unified, mobilized. Because I think, here's my thing. I think that a lot of white folks love strange fruit and are like, wow, it's so powerful. It's so important. These lyrics, it's beautiful. It's not a beautiful song. And I think people are comfortable with it because it portrays Black victim tragedy. You know what I'm saying? And not real. But you're not comfortable seeing an armed strange fruit. You're not comfortable seeing a brolic, healthy, fertilized strange fruit. You're not comfortable with a fruit that has ownership or that is unified and it's mobilized. So I wanted it to be more militant, more challenging. And then I was thinking about the scent of victory. Yes. And what would that be for us? And I thought about the scent of our ancestors, and her two favorite perfumes were Tweed and Tigress later on in her life. And so that's where that came from. But yeah, these were concepts that kept coming to mind. Blood, you know what I mean? The scent of our ancestors, an armed, immobilized, militant strange fruit,
She was so nervous playing it for me. I was really crazy. She was like, putting it in the movie. Yeah. And I was like, the first time I heard it, I was we're so deep down into Billie Holiday. So to really understand the lyrics, it was just, I was in tears. I was in tears because I had been, it was the juxtaposition of strange fruit, the lyrics. And say. It's one of my favorite songs,
I was hella nervous, and I knew.
But why?
You work with somebody like this because I know you. One little thing can be like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Let me tell you something. We have to tell you a secret. So Mariah Carey wrote two songs for me for Precious that were really, really, really great. but they just weren't right for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
They were really great. They just weren't right for the movie. I swear to God. And then she did something for me for Paperboy that was so good. And Kravitz. They're my buddies.
Yeah.
I couldn't use the music.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I was like, you know, and so I was prepared to tell you no. I was like,
Yeah.
go back to the drawing board, babe. Go back to the drawing board. So it was like, it was as beautiful as your portrayal of Billie Holiday. You understood this woman. You understood the story and the vision. So I get chills even thinking about it now, because it was you knew it. It was like, you know, it was like you knew that I was gonna fuck with this song. And so that's why I say, why don't you think I like this? What are you talking about?
So I called Lee when I sent it. I said, nope. They were like, do you want us to send it to Lee? I said, don't touch shit. I'm going to call that nigga right now. And I'm because I was like, I need to explain to him Damu, you know what I mean? Where that comes from and my culture and, you know, the meaning of blood.
Yeah, what does Damu mean again?
Damu means blood in Swahili. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's what you say, yeah.
I think the tie for me with Damu is the song. It says blood on the leaves, blood at the root. And that's what it means is blood. You know what I'm saying? And so, I wanted to change blood at the leaves and blood at the root. Damu, where I'm from, and this, I do not gangbang. That's not my shit, but I grew up around it. And so that's like, it's gangster. And Billie Holiday was gangster. You know?
Gangster, yeah.
And so I wanted the layer of that culture that I grew up around and that I know. And I wanted them to see Billie Holiday as gangster. I wanted to take the blood off the leaves and the root and put it as fertilizer at the soil. You know what I mean?
So good.
So I explained that to him. And then Mozzie Coupe, I was like, it's just a Maserati. Jill, just think of it.
Because she knows that I'm not down. Like, she's always trying to prove me to be 61. All these kids I work with trying to prove me my age. The Mozzie who? Mozzie what? Mozzie huh? What is this? What the fuck?
I called him to be like, Lee, it's just a Maserati. Think of a fleet of strong ass black folks just whipping, you know what I'm saying? Like flossing with the jewels and the wool, but we ready for war. You know what I mean? That's a Maserati cool. Just he was like, okay.
And Lee, what is this sound you make again when you think of this song? What is this you keep doing? Yeah. What is that again? Give it to me one more time.
Sigh. That's how it starts. And listen, I don't embarrass myself singing because I can't pretend, but I'm so down with it. I say, sigh.
I had to have him drop it again. I love that. One of the things I love about the film family and about Billie Holiday's art and legacy, right, is that it showcases just how powerful music is as catalyzing social change. Talk to me about what you see as the role of music and artists in social and racial justice movements today. So like, what is our role in these social and racial justice movements today? Lee?
I don't know about the music part of it, but I can only talk about from cinema. We have to reflect what is happening in the world today. Yep. This movie, like with Butler, I knew that I was feeling hopeful. So when we did it, Obama was in office and that was the way I was feeling. My spirit as an artist was led to tell the story of hope at the end. We were driven by hope, you know? And what this was is called To Arms. This movie was in the world, we felt that we were in trouble. You know, my Taraji from Empire and Terrence from Empire, we all had at the time 19-year-old boys, sons in different parts of the country, and all educated and stuff, and they were all on probation. Now I'm talking like for minor shit like pot or whatever, you know, traffic ticket, but they were all on probation. If we didn't have the financial means, our kids would be in jail. We are in trouble. This country is in trouble. And I thought that, you know, all of that kind of energy led me to Billie because, you know, I mean, some people can perceive it as a dark ending. You know, I don't perceive it as a dark ending, but it's a call to arms. We have to stand up the way Billie stood up. That is sort of what the movie's about, standing up to the government, doing the right thing.
That's right. Standing
up for what's wrong, especially as Black people.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Andrew, what about you? How do you see the role of the artist in the music?
I mean, I think Lee put it perfectly. I think it's not much different in music as it is in cinema. You know, it's to reflect the times. You know, it's to talk about your experiences, to show up, to be present, to give voice,
Mhm.
right, to people who are not represented in society. And I also believe that it's healing. You know what I mean? I think particularly with music, you know, I always reference this one scripture I read about a prophet, a village that was in trouble, and the waters were sick. They were in a drought, and they say, "Go call the prophet Elijah." And when Elijah came, the first thing he said was, "Get me someone to play the lyre." And it wasn't until what would be a harp, you know, possibly a guitar at the time, and it wasn't until a musician came and started playing the lyre that he could touch the waters and heal it. And that always resonated with me, as that's what music does. That's what art does. It is healing because it gives voice, it gives truth. And it reminds me of this other, you know, phrase, scripture: "What's done in darkness will come out to light." It shines light on things that have typically just been dealt with alone or been dealt with in the dark. And so I think that, yeah, I absolutely think it's that's role. And I think it helps people digest things, right? Music and the arts aren't just for people who want a career in it. They've shown that in young people, it helps them process all types of information better. It helps them engage with people better. It makes them more empathic, you know. And so I think that, yeah, I think that's a huge part of it, is to be able to translate things and translate these ideas to different people, you know.
I love it. I love it. I think, again, I couldn't agree with you both more, that it's our job, a responsibility that we have with this platform, utilizing this space to tell the truth and disrupt these systems and highlighting and amplifying what's going on. In a similar note, though, I'm curious to ask you this question. One thing that's really clear from the film was how the government harmed Black people on both an individual and structural level. And Lee, I was hearing you talk about your son's 19-year-old boys all having something going on with the law. And I'm thinking about how that manifests today through mass incarceration, policing, to what you were talking about, environmental racism, disinvestment. What do you see again now as the role as music companies in light of this, or industries that you're in, Lee, the film industry? What is their role, right, in light of this continued racialized injustice? What should we be doing and saying as corporations now, stepping back from the individual and the artist, but the corporation, in your opinion?
I think to educate now. I think that y'all have to educate. Y'all got the money. These companies, these Warner Records and Warner Brothers Films and the studios. I don't want to sound like I'm stupid, but I did not really understand until the George Floyd incident that that it was that messed up. That it took me this long at 61 to understand our system was this flawed. I chose to ignore it. And I think I chose to ignore it because I'm following the studio's leads. I'm following y'all. I'm in bed with everybody here. And they that man in full he died in front of our eyes. And I just think that, you know, I think that the power lies within the studios to breed artists. Your job is to make sure that artists like myself and Andra, that you shine us. I mean, I'm sorry, this is self, you know, promoting, but if not me, then someone else. If not Andra, then someone else. Your job is to shine a light, a big light on artists like us. And I shouldn't have to go to every film company to get a movie like Billie off the ground. I went to every studio in Hollywood to make sure that, including Warner's, and they passed on it. And this is not a first for me, you know. This is with Monsters Ball, my very first film, with Precious the Butler. Even after the success of Empire, I found myself back in the independent world with a Black man who believed in me, but the studios should believe in me. I shouldn't have to tell this story for Billie Holiday, and they go, "Oh, okay, we'll tell it to you, but here's $15, go make the movie." When you know well enough that if it were a movie about Doris Day, that you would make it, you would give me the 35 million. You know what I mean? So that's why it was really important for me to play ball in the independent world. Andra was not a star. It was not that was like, let me show you what we're going to do without you. And I just think that we need the support of, we really need the support of you guys, not just in a superficial way, but you need to put your money where your mouth is, and you need to support artists like myself and Andra. Are we in trouble now, Andra?
No.
Because
He's politely saying it, but he's right. If you're gonna ask me, pay. I just feel like people always want, how can we support Black women's stories? And I'm like, you got $1 billion, right? That's
Yo, we just say pay.
Yes, like we're so limited in like not just the stories we, there should be no reason why we do not see a flood of Black stories, of marginalized people's stories, women's, all these people's stories, because those are the narratives that have been suppressed. We didn't know Beethoven was African and that they would put white powder on his face, or that if he wasn't playing, a white man would show up in his steed. So we didn't know that 3 Black women were, responsible for getting us to space and programming the first computer, or that Billie Holiday was the godmother of civil rights and was talking about lynching in America, and the first war on drugs was literally crafted to stop her from integrating audiences, bringing people together and emboldening the Black community. We didn't know these stories. And it's really, we continue to do what we do, which is excavate and create and innovate in telling these stories, but it's hard to do, as he said, on a budget of $15. You know what I mean? And that's my thing. And don't just do it because now we see that Black movies and there's an explosion in Black interest and there's explosion. Do it because also it's the right thing to do. These stories are great, and this whole idea that it's like, well, it needs to be exceptional. It needs to be like, well, it could be even more exceptional if we actually had a budget to get it done. So I think that there's like ways to sort of walk around this and to sort of tiptoe around. But the reality is, at the end of the day, invest. You know why Black Wall Street did what it did? Because Black people, and they built their own community, and they would pass hands 6 times, I believe 6 or 8 times before money ever left the community, right? They owned everything, their banks, their invest in these companies and people's ventures and their visions and their stories and you will get great material. You cannot be groundbreaking by following ground that has already been broken. You know what I mean? So I just feel like, or like Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier, as soon as they do a movie, they pour that money into the movement. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with these studios. If you really, really, truly, regardless of what race you are, who you represent, if you want to see a landscape of equality among not just the races, the genders, among everybody, then you have to invest in that. You know what I mean? Just as simple as I look at it from my faith, tithing. Drop it in the bucket. You know what I mean?
Tithing, period. You got to make the investment. That's a simple enough charge, and I appreciate you being direct. And I thank you for both holding our feet to the fire and us being able to amplify that. Pay and invest, period. Last question, family, because I don't want to hold you too much longer. At the end of the day, for both of you, what do you hope? We know what our charge is for the corporations: to invest, put your money where your mouth is at, and do something, right? Invest, pay. And I'm not talking about $15. We're talking about the appropriate amount.
Thank you, Maurice, for that clarification. We definitely not going to talk about
You're not going. You're right. I underscored that shit, okay? Because y'all not going to talk about me after this moment. But okay. So at the end of the day, what do you hope for the audience, the casual, listener or the watcher of the movie to walk away with after they see the film? So this is the last question. What do you want them to walk away with? Lee, I'll start with you. What do you want them to walk away with when they watch the film?
Like I said before, that if Billie could do this as a woman, a Black woman in the 50s, what can we do as Black people in 2021? Like, if she could do that, don't be hiding, stand up and do the right thing. Do the right thing in your spirit. So many people just like, it's easy just to phone it in and not really like watch TV and go, okay, or even write a check for $15 and say, this is my help. No, go to the limit and do the right thing the way Billie did.
Love it.
And don't look at it like because she didn't look at herself like she didn't look at herself as an activist. I don't think the word sort of even was in her head, activism. She was just doing the right thing for her people.
That's right. Do the right thing. Andra, the last word is with you. What do you want them to take away?
Well, first of all, most definitely what Lee said. I think, and the other thing that I want them to take away is to thank her. You know what I mean? I want them to, for me as a spiritual person, I believe God loved Billie Holiday, and I felt it every day when I was on set. You know what I mean? That it mattered that her story was told. And so I want people to realize how important this woman is, that she is truly the great godmother of civil rights. And I want them to ask, what else don't I know? If they could keep a massive superstar story, and the song Strange Fruit exists, it's not like it went away. You know what I mean? How, if Billie Holiday existed, her memory existed, if Strange Fruit existed, how was the whole idea of this narrative of the war on drugs, them going after her for singing the song, you know, them really ultimately killing her, you know, for singing the song? How did we never know that? And now the question is, what else don't we know? Again, we talked about, you know, hidden figures, right? We talked about Beethoven, you know, but what about Carver, that kept the whole nation from spiraling during the Depression? He wasn't just the peanut butter man. It was, you know, he was innovative and inventor and saved the nation economically, socioeconomically. Or Lafayette, the slave that whose brave act infiltrating, I don't call anyone enemy really, but the enemy camp at the time, netted America their independence. You know what I mean? So there's
Bayard Rustin's Andra, Bayard Rustin.
yes.
So I mean, it's the list is endless. You know, you're correct.
So much. So I just feel like the real question, what else don't I know? You know, and what other truth do I need to go get? You know, and so yeah, I hope that's a question that people ask coming out of this.
Family, I couldn't thank you more for your time today. I appreciate it. I hope you don't talk about me too bad, but if you do,
No,
I love
it's fine. Okay, let me call you back.
Right now.
Thank you so much. It was really a lot of fun, though. Seriously,
it was fun. We're all in the family, and again, God bless you all. It was a wonderful production, and hey, I hope we're in touch sooner than later. All right, family. Thanks again, everybody. All right. Have a good night. Yeah. Bye bye.